Hello, everybody. Welcome to my new SMB Sunday market breakdown. So let's start as first with the DXY as we normally do. So what can we see on the daily chart? We are still at this clear supply and demand, so acting as support, resistance, and also at these daily highs. So what can the DXY do? We can go still to the downside because we have still this daily supply and demand zone, which we have a horizontal line on. We can see we have clear resistance, support here, resistance, again, resistance, support, resistance. So it's a major supply and demand zone. So we can expect bearish momentum to kick in. So we already did that because we went here till that potential shoulder one here, had shoulder two buying zone where we went back up. So we can stuck between this resistance and support. That's what I expect. At one point we will break out of it because we tapped the weekly inverse and shoulders. So if I go to the weekly, what can we see? Weekly, we have everything to go for a long, but all the daily is still short, so we have nothing to go short because the trend here is bullish here, so the trend is against us. The candle close here is also against us for a short. The fib from this low till this high is also against us. And the supply and demand zone here, the supply and demand zone here can work against us for a short because we just didn't tap this IC here. So I expect that we can tap this IC of that weekly. So then we can potentially go further to the downside, possibly. We will see what will happen. But yeah, the daily is for me in a possible range between these highs and these lows. So we can go up, back down, and break out of it here. Potential back to the downside to potentially make that clearer. Shoulder one, head shoulder two within a pattern. And yeah, on the 4 hour, what can we see? 4 hour, we can potentially go to the downside because we made here a low, new high, low, new high. And then we took some new liquidity and we went massively to the downside, which is a change in momentum because we saw already here impulse correction, a little bit more correction to the upside and impulse. And then this one was a really heavy impulse to the downside. For me, we can make then that shoulder one had shoulder two for potentially touching these daily lows again, where the liquidity is at. So we will go over my first trade, Euro AUD. We have a potential small inverse head and shoulders plus bullish M. So we can take our limit. So we have our shoulder one, head, shoulder two, within that a bullish M. So we can tap the daily shoulder one, and then we can set our limit for the 4 hour. So if I go to the weekly, we have a 3 out of 4. The trend is still bullish. We had here our high, low, new high. Everything between this low and a high is just a correction for potential more upside momentum. So we have the trend with us. Candle close. You can count it with you. Uh, it's yeah, some people will count it with them or not, but I will count it with you because we have clear resistance support from the shoulder one, head shoulder two here, which had a clear bullish candle close. So for me, we can go to the upside. So for me, the candle close is with us. Then the fib from this low till this high is with us, and the supply and demand zone. If we tap uh, that weekly shoulder one zone, is blue box here, then we can have again that supply demand zone for us. But for a moment, it's against us because we tapped this IC highs here, which was clear support, wicks here, support, resistance, resistance. So if we tap that zone, it's a 4 out of 4 for us. Then the daily was clear. We want to have a tap of this shoulder one zone to take our limit. And on the 4 hour, we can see we had here some descending channel and we broke out of it and we tapped the beginning of correction here. This was a beginning of correction, which is a major supply and demand zone. We went again to the downside because we broke out of it. We had here an impulse, then here at correction, and then we broke again out of it. So what can we see between the smaller bullish M's? We have an impulse, small correction, impulse, correction, impulse, possible correction. You can already see the price is coming more corrective to the downside. So we can take our limit at this shoulder one zone. So yeah, and then I would place my stop loss below this wick here from that daily shoulder one and around 50 pips to the downside. So it would be around 47 pips. So this can be a nice trade. Then AUDCAD, it's also the same AUD pair because the first one is Euro AUD and then this one is AUD CAD. So you need to be careful for that, but I can take two trades by the same pair, so that's no problem for me. So then AUD CAD on a daily, what can we see? We have a bigger bullish M. We have our first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg, and we have in that second leg your shoulder one, head, shoulder two with resistance in the head two times here. We have a clear supply and demand zone here at this daily box, which is nice to see. We also had here a big correction with the trend. You can see we tapped here that daily highs, and then we went to the downside to tap the beginning of correction. We tapped it, took liquidity, went to the upside, very impulsive candle close. So this is indicating me that the bulls are present. We tapped that weekly liquidity zone, weekly supply and demand zone. Here we can also see that clear buyers sitting here with that resistance, and we went to the upside. So really nice daily candle close. So I'm looking to take 4 hour inverted and shoulders. I need to play it on it for our head and shoulders with break structure. If you go on the 4 hour, but we will go first on the weekly. So if I go on the weekly, what can you see on the weekly chart? You can see on the weekly, we have the trend with us because we had here our low, high, new low, new high. We changed from trend, low, new high. So we are between this highs here and these lows, but for me, this is a natural M. So we have a natural M, same highs. We expect the same lows, and our supply and demand zone is sitting at this resistance IC, which became support here, support here. Here we had clear support, 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 support. If I go more back, you can see here, nice tap, we went to the upside. Here again, support, support, resistance, bam, to the downside. So it's a clear supply and demand zone, which is holding the price up. So this is also for us. So the trend is for us. The candle close, this one is closing really impulsive to the upside. So it's more than the half of that candle close going back up. So this is for us. The fib from this low till this high is also for us. And the supply and demand zone here was also for us. So actually this needed to be a green one. So I need to make it a green one like this. So 4 out of 4 like that. So the daily was clear. We had here a pattern within a pattern with that inverted and shoulders. Daily bullish candle close. Then on the 4 hour, what can we see? The 4 hour actually is still, here it was still bullish, but we made here, yes. For me, the major bullish trend on the 4 hour is still bullish because we had here our 4 hour low, and this is our new high. So actually, this is one whole correction. But I can see if you look to the smaller for our lower lows and lower highs, was this your high, low, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction. impulse, and again impulse. So this is telling me, okay, the momentum is changing. We have after an impulse, again an impulse, so that means the momentum is changing from bearish to bullish. We had here that clear liquidity zone. We got tapped and we went to the upside from there with a daily beginning of correction here. Nice buyers kicking in, bam. We went to the upside. So this can be a nice shoulder one, head, shoulder two with a break of structure. So we can take our limit after the market goes open. And we can take our limit like this. Stop loss below the wicks here, 10 pips, 18 and a half stop loss. So then the next trade, I'm looking at GBPCAD. This is a one that needs to have more development. So if I go to the daily, what can we see on the daily? So we need to be careful for this because we can have a potential bearish W fake out. So we have our first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg. We have a candle close above the highs, which is not a problem. The only thing is that if I put my horizontal line here at these highs, at this supply and demand zone here, we can see if we potentially have a bearish W, and I will modify it like this, bearish W like this. So, and it doesn't close. I will do it like this, so we close. So it doesn't close below that horizontal line, then it's a problem that it can become support and we can go to the upside because this is still your impulse correction, impulse, potential correction, impulse. So this can potentially play out if we go a little bit more to the upside and then making here a smaller bearish W and then still holding this horizontal line to the upside, yeah, then we can go to the upside. So, and if we close below that like this, then we can potentially make it here as resistance, hold as resistance, and then we can go to the downside. So yes. So the daily for me is the bearish W, fake out potentially. It's a big pattern, so I need a pattern on the 4 hour. On the weekly, what can we see? We have a 2 out of 4 because we are bearish. We have here that high. So we had that previous low, high. We made a new low, so we are bearish. And what did we receive? For me, this is a clear impulse. This is some more correction than what we did. If we look at the smaller time frames there, we had here shoulder one, head, potential shoulder two here, aligning with this support that can become resistance here, potentially, because you can see this was also clear impulse and these are more correction. So the only thing that is good that we have here a break of this previous higher low. That's a good thing because that's indicating me that we want to go more to the downside to potentially have here that pull back till this zone till that I see where the buyer's kicking in from. So we can then go and make that correction to the upside. That is possibly. Um, but it's a 2 out of 4. The trend is for us. Candle close is against us. Fib from this high to this low is for us. And the supply and demand zone here. This support here, that resistance was support is against us for me. So yeah, 2 out of 4. And if I go then till that's daily and a 4 hour, then it was clear what I wanted to see, a bearish W or a head and shoulders. Who knows what will happen there, what can play out. So then the next one, Euro GPY. So on the daily, what can we see? We had a major impulse, small correction. Again, impulse. What can we expect? A correction till that I see. Why is that? Because we made here already that shoulder one, this head, shoulder two, or some people will see this as your shoulder one, head, shoulder two, but this can also be one shoulder one, head, shoulder two, playing out. It didn't tap yet the daily minus 27 of the head and shoulders, so we can still go to there and make possibly after that impulse a correction till that IC. And we have some liquidity here at this lows, which was resistance support. This can become also here resistance here. So we expect a pullback till that zone or correction. And if I go to the weekly, what can we see on the weekly? We have a 3 out of 4 because what I can see still on the weekly is we are still bullish on the weekly. But if you look at clear corrections and impulses, then is this your clear correction and this is your impulse potential correction impulse. So if I only looked at the correction impulses, I would say the trend is bearish. But if I see this as your high, this high wick, your low wick, then we had here a break of that. So, but this was a whole correction. So you can choose if you say the trend is for you or without you, but you can still see clearly correction, impulse, correction, impulse. So the trend can be bearish and you can see this is a clear selling zone which triggered this seller zone triggered it till these lows. So, and then here again, sellers when we went above support, false break, support, we went below it, we came back above, and we tapped it as resistance. So the sellers are kicking in. So I expect the price to go potentially till this weekly lows because there is a lot of buyers sitting at, or this weekly lows where also some buyers are sitting at. Because yeah, you can see this weekly candle was really impulsive. So if I go to the daily, what can you see on the daily? Yeah, the bearish W can come to that IC, and then on the 4 hour, what can we see? The 4 hour is still bearish. We have that impulse. This was a correction. Shoulder one got tapped. Then the impulse. So we have that bearish W that can play out. So we expect the price to come till that daily zone of interest for potentially making a D cell or a pattern because it's for me a small bearish W. Then the last one, AUDNZD. AUDNZD was also from previous week, also in my SMB. So what can we expect? We can expect that shoulder one, head, shoulder two to get tapped. So it didn't tap yet. And then this bullish M within that, this is one impulse, high, low. So we can tap that shoulder one because we can see this is a clear impulse. This can be a small correction, and here it can be your impulse. So we will see what will happen there. So on the weekly, what we have, 3 out of 4. If I look at clear impulses, again, then you can see here impulse, correction, here, impulse. This can be your whole correction. So the trend can be bullish seen. If you look just at the lows and the highs, this is clearly your lower high, and this is your lower low because this is just a false break. So this is your lower high, lower low, like this. We are between these lows and highs. So yeah. So the trend for me is bullish because we have a clear correction, and this is your impulse. Trend is bullish, candle close is against you. This is the red candle close that is against you. So then the fib from this low till this high is for you. And then the supply and demand zone here, clear resistance, resistance, support, support. So this is for you. So we have a 3 out of 4 to go long. And then the daily was clear. And on the 4 hour, we are coming correctively till our daily zone of interest. Here we tapped at weekly supply and demand zone. So there is a potential upside move that we can go to the upside because we tapped that weekly supply and demand zone, so the liquidity is already taken, but the daily shoulder one isn't yet tapped, so I expect an impulse to that zone. So this was my SMB. I hope you liked it. It's a little bit late, but yeah, I'm also a little bit sick. And my internet was also not that good a few hours ago, so I needed to fix that. So that's why it was also a little bit later than normal, but I hope you liked it and see you next week. Bye.